Hello everyone, I'm back today with the 8th session for our 10-day C programming course. Please do watch the previous videos if you haven't. Hope all the concepts discussed yesterday was clear. Now let's see about functions in C. Let us imagine that you're given a task to write a program to find the sum of n integers first, second. All these tasks you should perform in the same program, using one program itself. So the first task is in the same program you have to find the sum of n integers. After finding the sum of n integers, you should find the average of the n integers. Now after finding the average, again you have to what you have to do is you have to find the sum of another set of n integers, and again you have to after that you have to find the product of the n integers. So here you can see finding the sum of n integers is something common. That is, the same thing has to be done twice in the same program. So what will you usually do? You'll use a for loop, and again 2 times you're going to make use of a for loop 2 times, and you're performing the same task twice in the code. That is, the code in the first time you're writing, you're using for loop, and then you're taking another variable to that, you're adding all the integers. The same task is done again in the same program after a few lines of code. So here it's going to increase the length of the code, because definitely what happens is it increases the length of the code. So to decrease this length of the code and also to increase the readability of the code, you can do something. What you can do is the code to find the set of instructions to find the sum of n integers, you make it into a function. So when you call this function, that is when you call this function, what this function does is it will find the sum of the n integers and it will give you the result. So what a function is a set of instruction which is used to perform a particular task. So in this example, a function, the function which we are going to write, or the set of instructions which we are going to write is a set of instructions which is used to find the sum of n integers. It does not have any difference from the code, but what is going to happen is you are not going to write the code for the function inside the int main or void main. You are going to write it outside the int main and void main. And there is Printf and Scanf. So Printf and Scanf is a predefined function. Predefined functions are functions which is already available. They are also known as library functions. So library is a collection of header files, and header files will contain the functions. So functions can be said to be a mini program. So a mini program, like a program we are writing to when we write code for something, in using that code we are asking the computer to perform a particular task. That is, we are asking take an example, you're writing a code to find the sum of 2 numbers. So in the same program, that is in a different program, what you have to do is you have to find the sum of 2 numbers in different parts of the code. So again you have to write a plus b, a plus b, a plus b. So that is going to be a bit tiring for you, definitely. So what you will do is you will write a particular function. That is, you will write a code to find the sum of 2 numbers, and then you will put it inside a function, and you will give this function a name. And in the other program where you are asked to find the sum of 2 numbers in different parts of the code, what you will do is instead of writing the code to find the sum of 2 numbers, what you'll do is you will just include the name of that function there in the program. So when you include the name of that function in that program, what happens is the function, the function that you have written to find the sum of 2 numbers is the name given to it is sum2. So once you put the name sum2 in the code, or wherever you would like to find the sum of 2 numbers, what happens is the content of the function sum2 is executed. That is, the code which we wrote under the function sum2 gets executed, and therefore we'll get the sum of the 2 numbers. So this is what mainly functions are used for. So functions is a set of code that is used to perform a particular task. In C, we can divide a large program into the basic building blocks known as the function. The function contains the set of programming statements enclosed by opening bracket or closing bracket. That is, what we'll do is we'll give the name of the function. After that, once we give the name of the function, what we'll do is we'll give an opening bracket, and then after the opening bracket you'll write the code. That is, normally in a program you'll write the code inside the curly bracket of the int main or the void main. Same way, when you're writing a set of instructions inside a function, what you'll do is right after you put the name of the function, that you can give the name. If you are writing the function, or if you are writing the function to perform a particular task, what you'll do is you will create your own function. So the functions which you create your own to perform a particular task is called user defined function. That is, when a user creates a function, it is called a user defined function. And a function which is already available in C, that is, we have the one which we have mostly used is Printf and Scanf. So Printf and Scanf are predefined functions, that is, they are already available in C. So what you have to do is, when you're writing the code inside the function, after the opening bracket you should put the code inside those opening bracket and closing bracket of that particular function. A function can be called multiple times to provide reusability and modularity to the C program. That is, you are writing the function, you are making use of you can make use of the function multiple times in the same program. There is no limit that you have to call function only this much number of times. There is nothing like that. You can call the function from your main program any number of times. So call the function means you will include the name of the function in your program. That is what calling means. What happens when you include the name of the function in your code, what happens is the compiler, the control, it will go to the function body. That is, it will go to the body of the function. Once the name is called, the function will go to, not the function, the control will go to the function's body, and whatever is there in the body of the function, that is executed. Once the body of the function is executed, it will come back to the main program from where the name of the function was called, or where the name of the function was given. And then later, after the statements which comes after that will be executed. We'll see more examples, don't worry. And now let's see the next point. So in other words, we can say that the collection of functions creates a program. The function is also known as procedure or subroutine in other programming languages. That is, in other programming languages, functions are referred to as procedure or subroutines. And now let's see what are the advantages of functions in C. So by using functions, we can avoid rewriting same logic or code again and again in a program. That is, functions are mainly used when you have to perform the same particular task more than one times in the same program. We mentioned, remember the program where I told you that you have to find the sum of n numbers 2 times in the same program. So that in such kind of situations, you will have to write the code to find a sum of n numbers again and again. That can be avoided if you are using functions. Now the next point is, we can call C functions any number of times in a program and from any place in a program. That is, once you have written the code for the function, you can call the function from anywhere in the program, any number of times in the program. That is, it's not necessary that you should call the functions only after a printf statement. Now you should call a function only after the scanf functions. There is no conditions like that. You can call, that is, you can include the function anywhere you want in the program, and you can use it in any number of times. Now the next point is, we can track a large C program easily when it is divided into multiple functions. So when you've written a long program, it is difficult to go through it and find the errors. But if you divide a particular program into functions, that is, if you divide the particular program into small parts, it is easy for you to go through each part one by one. So, and it is also it makes it easy for you to track the program. Now the next point is, reusability is the main achievement of C functions. So that is, you can call the functions n number of times, you can use the function wherever you want in the program. That is what is meant by reusability. Reusability means you can use it again and again. However, function calling is always an overhead in a C program. Now let's see about function aspects. So there are 3 aspects of a C function. Aspects means we are going to see about how a function looks like. First line is function declaration. So function declaration means when you're writing code for your own function, you should give, what you have to do is, first is the return type. Return type means it will tell if you're giving back a value to the program where the given function was called. So the return type will be something like int. Let me give you an example. I'm writing a function to find the sum of two numbers. If I'm in the function itself I'm printing the value that has to be, if I'm printing the sum, then it's not necessary that I have to pass any value back to the, or if I have to give back any values. So what I'll do, I'll give it as void my function name. Otherwise, if I'm finding the sum of two numbers and I'm like from this function I want to make this function to give back the value, give back the sum to the program. So what I can do is I can use return statement. So return a value to the, that is return integer value to the sum. So what happens is, if I'm giving 1 and 2, 3 should be given back to the program where they have used the function. So here what I'm doing is, the function which I wrote is giving back a value, and the value is of integer type. So here the data type of my return type of my function should be int. That is, while declaring, the syntax is return type and function name. So if I'm returning a value, what is that data type of the returning value? It is int. So my function declaration will look something like int sum. Otherwise, if I'm not returning any values, and if that is the condition, then my declaration would look like void sum2. That is what is meant by declaration. See, have you seen variable declaration? It's something same like that. That is, if you're but in variable we'll mention the data type which is stored in the variable. That is what we'll do in the declaration. But here we'll mention the data type of the value that is being returned back to the program where the function was called. Now we'll see about, see here, function must be declared globally in a C program to tell the compiler about the function name, function parameters and return type. So here declaring it globally means it must be, the function should be that is from inside the program, from anywhere of the program you should be able to call the function. So globally, if you have to declare something globally, you have to declare it before the int main or the void main. That is when you can declare it globally. Declaring globally means from any part of the program you can access it. Otherwise, then we have local declaration. Local declaration, if I have to give you an example, okay, sum of 3 numbers. I'm writing a program to find the sum of 3 numbers, and inside the loop what I'm doing is I'm declaring a variable. There is a loop for I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. So inside this loop I'm declaring a new variable int a equal to 0. So this int a equal to 0 cannot be used outside the loop, because the scope of declaration or the scope of the variable is, that is the life of the variable, is only inside the loop. If I would like to access the variable from anywhere from the program, then I have to declare it globally. Globally means I'll have to declare it before I put int main in the program or void main in the program. So, and also if you right after int main, we are putting the opening braces and we are declaring the value. So when we are declaring a variable, so when you do that, that particular variable can be used anywhere inside the int main or the void main. That is, it can be used inside anywhere in between that. But if you put it, that is called but if you put it inside a loop, if you declare a variable inside a loop, what happens is the variable can be used only inside the loop. If you try to access the variable from outside the, not inside the loop, it can be used only inside that particular block. Block means opening bracket, closing bracket, only inside that particular opening bracket and closing bracket. If you try to access that variable from outside, you won't be able to access it. So this is the main difference between global declaration and local declaration. Please make note of this. Global declaration means declaring a variable or a function above the int main, before int main or the void main. Whereas local declaration means it is only available to a particular block. That is, if you put it inside int main, if you put a particular variable inside if you declare a variable inside int main or void main, that particular variable can be accessed only from the inside part of the int main. It cannot be accessed from outside. Now we have seen about function name. Function name, it can be anything. Then comes the function parameters. Function parameters means, see, when you are using printf, what you will do, you will inside codes you are giving something, that is the name, the sentence which should be printed on the screen. So you are giving an input to the function printf. So arguments or here parameters is that particular value which you are giving back to the sum. So if I am writing a function to find the sum of two numbers, then definitely the function will have to know the two numbers that you want to find the sum for. So what does that particular function need? It needs two numbers. So how do you get the two numbers from the main program? You have to pass it by parameters. Parameters means the value which is given to the function so that the function can perform that particular task. So here in this case, like in the example of writing the function to find the sum of two numbers, two integer values will be the parameter for this particular function. So I can declare inside, so in the declaration part itself, I can mention that this particular program will need two integer variables as the parameter. So my declaration is going to be, since I'll print on the screen directly, I'll be printing the sum of the two numbers on the screen directly. So therefore my return type will be 0. Return type will be void because I'm not giving back any value to the program. So my declaration is going to be return type, function name, and in normal bracket. See, for printf also you can see there is a normal parenthesis, normal bracket. I'll put that bracket, and inside that I'll give first integer value, second integer value. That is going to be, you have to declare two variables, int a, int b. Those two are my parameters, and then I'll put the closing bracket. That is my function declaration. So function declaration, we are done with the function declaration. Now we'll see function call. So function call is, now imagine that I've already written the function, and then in the program I have to find the sum of two numbers. Now what will I do? Will I write the code to find the two numbers? No, I won't, because I have already written a function to find the sum of two numbers. Then why should I again write the code for finding two numbers? What I'll do is I'll call the function. How do I call the function? I will write the name of the function in the code. So what is the name of the function? The name of the function is sum2. And to find the sum of two numbers, what does the function need? It needs two numbers. So which are the two numbers? 1 and 2. What will I do? I'll give it inside the bracket. So I'll write sum2, opening bracket, 1, 2. So once the compiler sees this, so if in the writing the particular function in a program, that is not the writing the function, when you're calling a function or when you're writing the name of the function in the program, in the main program, what the compiler does is it will go and check the body of the function which you have mentioned. Let's take the example of printf. So what it will do? Printf means it will take the body of the printf and then it will print the particular sentence in the screen. In the same way, this compiler, what it does is it will check the content of the function which we are given. The content of the function which we are calling here is sum2. So what will be the content? The content will be to print sum of two values. So the content of sum2 function is print a plus b. A and b are the values which is passed from the main function, and sum on the screen, sum is equal to 3 will be printed already. This is what happens, and after that is being printed, again the compiler will come back to the main program from where the function was used, and then it will go execute the next line of code. Now that is what is function call. Next is function definition. Function definition means it is a set of instructions which you write that should be executed. And function definition means the body of the function. That is in our example where you have to find the sum of two numbers, there the function definition is the body of the function, which will be print a plus b. That is the body of the function is called function definition. Function declaration means you are giving the return type, the function name, parameters, and then after that you will put semicolon. That is, you are just telling the in the beginning itself. That is, if you don't wish to write the code for the function before int main, then this is what you have to do. And after putting the code, closing curly braces for the int main, again after that also you can write the definition of the function. So there are two possible options. One is you have to write the code inside the function above int main or above void main. That is, globally you are declaring the globally you're making the function global. So in case if you don't want to write the function the body of the function there, what you can do is you can just mention the return type of the function name in brackets, parameters, and then put a semicolon. It is not necessary to have parameters in the function. That is, in some functions if you want you can put parameters, otherwise don't put parameters. It is totally up to you. And then what you have to do is you will put int main or void main, you will write the whole code, and you will even call the function from somewhere in the program. And after putting the closing braces for the int main or void main, then you can write the function definition. Function definition means again you will write return data type, function name, in bracket the parameters, closing bracket, opening curly braces, and then you will start writing the code for the function, and then you will close it. This is one option. Other option is you can normally start writing from the above itself, above int main. That is function return type, function name, opening bracket, parameters, closing bracket, then opening curly braces, and you can start writing the function content already. So these are the function aspects. Now let us see the different types of function. Different types of functions are library functions and then user defined functions. Now library functions are the functions which is declared in C header files. That is, in stdio.h we have scanf, printf, getThis, putThis. All these things we have under the header files. The functions which are available under the header files are called library functions. So stdio.h is one header file. There are different header files. There is conio.h. In the same way there are a lot of, there is string.h, mac.h. There are a lot of header files. Under each of these header files there are a lot of functions also. So all these functions together are called library functions. And then after library functions we have user defined functions. So user defined functions are the functions which we write. See, here to find the sum of two numbers I was using a function sum2. So this function is user defined. That is, I have defined, I have declared, and I have called the function. Everything I have done it. So it is a user defined function. Now let us see how the C program works. So here there is void function name. Void is the return type. So void means the function does not give back any value to the main program. And then we have the function name. Function name will give the name of the function. After that there is a content of the function, and then inside the content of the function, that is what the function will do, is given inside the opening and closing bracket of that particular function. Also this function does not have any parameters. Parameters are the value which is given to the function, and it is mentioned inside this opening and closing bracket. And then after that we are giving int main. Int main will represent the starting of the main program, and then there is opening bracket, there is a set of statements, and after that we are mentioning the name of the function. So here what happens is, see here, since there is no values to be passed to the function, there is no values mentioned inside the brackets of the function. So here what happens is, once the function name is found by the compiler, it will go and check the body of the function which we have given, and then it will execute all the statements, and after it has reached the end of the function, it will come back to the next line where the function was used. So here this is called, including the name of the function which we are written, is called function calling a function. So we are calling a function here, that is we are using a function which we have written. This is called function call. And function call, and this is function name is the called function, that is function name is the function that we have made use in the program. So function name is the called function, and this is function call is using a particular function in a program. And after, once the function name function is called, that is once we have encountered the function, the compiler will go and execute the it will execute all the contents of the code which is written inside the opening and closing braces of the function, or it will execute the body of the function, and after that it will come back to the calling program. The control will come back to the calling program. Calling program means the program which has called the function name. So int main is the program which has called the function. Int main is the part which has called the function name. After executing the body of the function name, the control go backs to the calling program. So calling program means the program which is calling, and calling function is function name. So after then what it will do is it will execute all the statements which comes after the function name. So all these statements will be executed, and then later we will reach the end of the program. Now let us see how arguments are passed to a function. Arguments means how a value is passed to a function. So here you can see this is function. This is called function prototype. That is, we are telling the compiler that we are going to make use of a function, and the function will give back a value which is of integer data type. It will give an integer data type back to the main program, and then the name of the function is add numbers, and we need the particular function needs two integers, int a and int b. That is the two functions which is given into the function is taken as is considered, where we can give any name, it's totally up to you, but here I am using int a and int b, and then semicolon. Then we will write the main function, main program. This is the main program, and then somewhere I will include add number. This is the function call add numbers n1 and n2. So in n1 and n2 there are two values, and then here there is other statements, and after that we can see after the closing brace of int main, again we have written int add numbers, int a, int b, and then inside curly braces we are writing the content of the function. So what happens here is, once you call add numbers n1 n2, the compiler the control it comes to the function definition. This is function prototype, this is function definition. It comes to the function definition, and for a the value stored in n1 is stored in integer a, and the value stored in n2 will be stored in integer b, and then the body of the function is executed, and the value which is returned from this function, that is, it is mentioned that we are returning an integer value back to the calling program. So that is it will return a value, and it is of integer type. So that after executing, the value is passed here, that is the control will go back to the calling program, and the value is passed here. And since there is a value passed, it has to be stored somewhere to access it. So therefore we are giving sum equal to add numbers n1 n2. So if you give sum equal to add numbers n1 n2, what happens is the value returned by this particular function will be stored in the variable sum, and after that the rest of the statements in the rest of the code in the program is executed, and then we reach the end of the program. This is how you pass arguments to a function. Next we will see a function whose return type is void. So this is a simple function, void hello. Void is the return type. Void means it won't give back any value to the calling program, and hello is the name of the function, and just opening bracket closing bracket, because there is no parameters. There are no parameters. Then we have opening curly braces. So once you see the opening curly braces, you can make sure now from next line onwards it will be the content of the function. So content is printf hello C. So hello C will be printed on the screen. Then after that semicolon closing bracket. So this is a function whose return type is void and there are no arguments or there are no parameters. Now let's see a simple program which is making use of a function sum to find the sum of two numbers. So void sum semicolon. Void sum semicolon means it's a prototype. You're telling the compiler I will be using a function, its name is sum, it won't have any parameters and the return type is void. And after that you're putting void main printf / and going to calculate the sum of two numbers sum. So sum, this is calling a function. This is called calling a function, and sum is the called function, and void main is the calling, this part is the calling program. Now void sum, now we'll write the content of the void sum. So we are declaring two variables because we need to accept two numbers from the user, and these two numbers has to be stored in a variable. So you're making use of int a and int b, and then you are printing on the screen printf two numbers, scanf you have to accept two numbers and you're storing it in a and b. Then printf, the sum is a plus b. So this is all done if the function sum is called. So sum is called and then all of this will be done, and then it will come to the end of the program. Now let's see another example. Here the return type is void and the argument passed is none, that is there is no arguments passed or parameters passed, sorry. And then this is the next program. Here the return type is int, that is we'll be returning a value back to the calling program. So void main int result, going to calculate the sum of two numbers, that is going to be printed on the screen. Result equal to sum int. The reason why we have given result equal to sum int is the return type of the function sum is integer type, that is it will return a particular value. So the value returned by the function has to be stored in a particular variable. So therefore we are giving result equal to sum. Then after that we are printing the value stored in result. So here what happens is inside the function, that is this is the function which we have written, int a comma b, printf enter two numbers. So the message enter two numbers will be printed on the screen. Then you are accepting two numbers. Then what you are doing is you are returning a plus b, return a plus b semicolon. So the value, that is the sum of a plus b, will be returned to the main program. So here the function is called, so the value will be returned here, and then since there is result equal to, so therefore the value will be stored in the variable result, and then you're printing value of result and finish. So this is also same program, but here instead of directly passing the value a plus b, here they are storing it in a variable and then they're passing it, storing it in a variable. So here there is another function int get, that is return type is integer, name of the function is get, opening braces closing braces, that is there is no parameters passed, and directly they are returning the value 10. So now we have seen the concept of functions, predefined library functions and user defined functions. So you guys have a homework coming up your way. The thing is you have to write a function to find the sum of three integer numbers. So inside the function what you have to do is you have to enter a message on the screen, that is please enter three numbers. After that you have to accept three integers, and after accepting three integers you have to take a variable, and in that variable you have to store the sum of the three integers. After you have stored the sum of the three integers in a particular variable, you should pass that variable to the main program. That is using return, you have to pass the value of the value to the main program, and after doing that you have to print the value of the sum of the three integers from the main program. So along with today's test, what I'll be doing is at the bottom of the test you can find a section to upload your program. So if you have IDE set up in your systems, what you can do is you can either attach a screenshot of the code that you have written, or you can just write it in a piece of paper and just attach it, take a photo of it and attach it there. Please make sure to include the whole program. That is, I need the main program as well as the function also. Don't send it to me separately. Just definitely I need it just as you wrote it. So whatever it is, even if it is wrong, it's totally fine, because we're just in the starting stage of it. We're just learning, so you guys have a lot of time to learn. Don't worry about it. If it is not if this explanation is not enough, don't worry. Tomorrow we'll be seeing more about it. That is, we'll be going not more in deep, but we'll be seeing a few more examples of it, and that should definitely help you guys out. So don't forget to do this homework. We won't be giving you any marks or anything, but it's just to understand how much you have understood the concept of functions. Also, don't try to cheat. If you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, try to find it out, try to learn the concept, and still if you can't do it, don't worry, just let me know down in the comments and I'll help you guys out. So that's it for today's session. In case if you have any feedbacks or suggestions, please go back to our website and please upload it, just write it down there. We'll go through it and we'll let you guys know. And then if you have any comments, as always, please leave it down in the comments. We'll clear it out for you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much of it. Thank you and keep learning.